Welcome. What an awesome crowd to see tonight to come out and celebrate the 26-year legacy of Jeff Johnson. My name is Chad Harris, and I have the great honor of serving as the Alumni Association's board chair this year, and will serve as our Master of Ceremonies this evening for a lineup of special speakers that we have. It's hard to put into words the impact that somebody like Jeff has had on the Iowa State community and beyond, but we're going to try to do so with a lineup of some special guests tonight. So if you are in the receiving line, please stay in line, because after the remarks, Jeff is going to return to the receiving line. 26 years ago, I was a junior at Iowa State and had been asked to serve as a student representative on the search committee that was tasked with finding the next president and CEO of the Alumni Association. I don't think I knew what an executive search committee did, but as I said to others, I was a joiner and I was involved with the Student Alumni Association, and so I said yes. And it was a pretty awesome opportunity to be part of the group that found Jeff Johnson and brought him to Iowa State. So, he's been a part of my Cyclone story since I was a junior, and it is not lost on me the impact that this many years later I'm serving as the chair of the Alumni Board to help celebrate his retirement from this institution. So tonight, as I said, we have a few special guests. And first up, the 16th president of Iowa State University, President Wendy Winterstein.
Wow, look at the crowd. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to celebrate Jeff Johnson and his distinguished career at Iowa State University. For more than 25 years, Jeff Johnson has faithfully served Iowa State. His work has connected generations of students, alumni, and friends across Iowa, the nation, and around the world. Well, there are many achievements that I could celebrate tonight, but I want to highlight just a few that really get at the depth of Jeff's impact. And there is no more fitting venue to honor Jeff than to be here tonight at the ISU Alumni Center. This space is much more than a building. It's an iconic location for university events, alumni gatherings, reunions, and best of all, Cyclone love stories. Many couples have celebrated their weddings here, and as I like to say, Jeff wants to be invited to every wedding that's held here. I will add that not every bride understands that. Jeff was instrumental in bringing the Alumni Center to life. He oversaw the fundraising, design, and construction efforts. He worked closely with the late Roy Ryman and his wife Bobby, whose generous support made this facility possible, along with many other committed donors. And if you look around this incredible facility, you will see the very many detailed touches that connect this building back to campus. And we thank Jeff for putting in those very thoughtful details and so important details, the art, the construction. You can see it just in this room as well. So thank you, Jeff, for the connection of this building back to the beautiful campus that we have at Iowa State University. Well, in 2015, Jeff made history as the first endowed University Alumni Association president in the country and the first non-faculty endowed position here at Iowa State University. A few years later, I was pleased to present Jeff with an official medallion to recognize his position and the wonderful generosity of Laura and Russ Talbot. And true to his Cyclone spirit, Jeff directed a portion of the funding to benefit students. It's just one of the many ways that he has supported students throughout his career. Well, every fall, Jeff helped welcome the newest class of Cyclones to campus. At Destination Iowa State, he played a key role in teaching our new students the fight song and many other ISU traditions. I hope that some of you got to see him do that because it was truly a spectacular moment as Jeff would step on the stage and welcome our new freshmen to Iowa State University. Jeff brought his trademark energy and enthusiasm to athletic events where he was the architect of the emblematic Cyclone Power chant. So let's do it tonight. Cyclone Power, Cyclone Power, Cyclone Power. Okay, that's good enough. Save your energy for tomorrow night, but a round of applause for Jeff. Jeff has also played an important part of our commencement ceremonies. He always shared a special message of congratulations to our new graduates, followed by a gentle invitation. And you all know the invitation, "You are now mine." Of course, that was followed with the invitation to stay engaged and connected with the whole Iowa State family. And it was an invitation that really was joyously accepted by our graduates. One of Jeff's most meaningful contributions was his role on the Jack Trice Commemoration Committee. The committee planned a year-long tribute, which included a powerful and poignant set of events, programs, and exhibitions to honor Jack Trice's legacy. I'll never forget October 8th, 2 years ago, standing with Jeff on the stage at the closing ceremony. Hundreds of people filled Central Campus, including the entire Cyclone football team, the day before they beat TCU in the Jack Trice Legacy game. Together, Jack and I presented Jack's posthumous degree in animal husbandry, finally and officially making Jack Trice an Iowa State University alumnus. It was a moment of deep pride, a moment I will always treasure. Jeff, we are so grateful for your devoted leadership and deep commitment to Iowa State University. Your ability to bring people together and ignite their Cyclone pride is very special. And we want to make a very special thank you to your wonderful wife, Peggy. We know that it is always about your individual spouse and partner that works with you, and Peggy has done that day in and day out. You make a tremendous couple supporting Cyclones everywhere. A special thank you to Peggy. So on behalf of everyone, thank you, Peggy and Jeff, for your service to Iowa State University, for building Cyclone spirit everywhere. Congratulations.
Thank you, President Winterstein. Next, we're pleased to welcome back a familiar face to our campus community. Dr. Ben Allen served as the Dean of the College of Business, Provost, and Interim President, and also chaired the search committee that identified Jeff back in 1999. Dr. Ben Allen.
Wow, good afternoon. A lot of people try to take credit for getting the Johnsons to come to ISU. I did it. Not really. I did have the privilege of serving as chair, as noted. We had a great committee. Chad was on that. But I know there are other committee members who are here. Would you raise your hand and be recognized? Thank them. I didn't do that to be nice, but Murray Wise just told me walking in that the University of Illinois still hates me and the committee. And I want to be sure that everyone got blamed for that. But a little background to that search. We put up the net for applicants and didn't get a very good pool. And somehow this name came across our desk, Jeff Johnson. He looked very good on paper. Very good on paper. Senior Vice President of Alum Affairs at University of Kansas, campus alumni director at the University of Illinois flagship campus at Champaign-Urbana. And then he came to campus, and he looked better. There's only one problem. He didn't apply for the job. We knew that we had some work cut out for us because he had a great job at an outstanding university, and he was not on the market. But the committee knew, first, that this person, if he came, would make major changes at the ISU Alumni Association, so we better be prepared. The second thing is, this is the person we wanted at ISU. I was going through my daughter's graduation. Pat and I were up in Chicago, college graduation, and I kept having phone calls with Jeff. And Pat would say, "Is that Johnson guy again?" But I didn't want to lose this candidate. And well, two things crossed my mind. One is that I did not want to be the person to tell President Jischke that Jeff Johnson decided not to come here because the search committee dropped the ball. For those who knew Dr. Jischke, you would feel my pain. The second and more important reason was that we knew as a committee that if we lost Jeff Johnson, we'd be losing the opportunity to hire a generational type of leader for ISU. Thank goodness he said yes. So thank you, Jeff. And I got to work with Jeff for a couple of years before I left for Cedar Falls. And I'll keep this short because everyone's standing here. But thank you for the standing ovation. But I never worked with a person who had the energy and the capacity to know every detail, to have a position on every detail, and to manage every detail. At the same time, having the ability to create, communicate, and execute large visions for an organization. I've never seen that in a person before. One thing that I would say, working with Jeff is not for the faint of heart. All the adjectives I've heard about Jeff the last couple of days, all true. Very passionate, very thoughtful, visionary. One thing I did not hear, timid. So, but it was great working with Jeff, and thank you for that time. We became friends. Pat and I became friends with Peggy and Jeff the first time we met him over breakfast during the recruitment process. And Jim Henson, who created the Muppets, was saying that there's not a word yet for old friends you just met. But when you meet the Johnsons, you become old friends immediately. I don't know how they do it. And we maintained friends after we moved to Cedar Falls and St. Louis, and we shared some very special moments. And Pat did see that bear, by the way, Jeff. One event I want to tell you about had nothing to do to academics or anything except Pat and I were at the University of Northern Iowa. Jeff and Peggy came up. We met in the kitchen in the president's house, laughed and talked over bowls of chili. Then we got into separate cars. We drove to the McLeod Center, and ISU played you and I in a basketball game. I don't know who won the game, but I'll never forget that evening with these two. That's how special they make people feel. So thank you. Well, in closing, I'd like to say this, and maybe I shouldn't admit to this. When ISU hired Jeff, I thought we'd be lucky if we could keep him for 5 years. He could make a big difference in 5 years. For Jeff to serve Iowa State for 26 years is a blessing to the Cyclone family. Peggy, Jeff, thank you for sharing your ideas, your enthusiasm, your class. Dr. Johnson, I'll finish with you. You have a huge and secure legacy. Some people are leaders and they don't leave a legacy. Other people are leaders, they leave a legacy that is very fleeting. This legacy is very secure. That legacy is really encompassed in the new programs and the new traditions here. Your legacy is ingrained in the beautiful halls of this beautiful building. But most importantly, your legacy is entrenched deeply in the code of conduct. The whole operation here that can't be taken away, because you changed the attitudes of so many people of being a proud Cyclone. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Ben. Well, we know Jeff because of his time at Iowa State. We also know he didn't start here necessarily. So tonight we're pleased to have with us Jeff's first boss from the University of Southern Mississippi, Mr. Ron Phillips.
Thank you. You know, all of us are salesmen. It's just a question of whether or not how good we are. As Nipsey Russell used to say, a leader is a leader because he has followers. And you can see he has a lot of followers. Well, Jeff started his salesman career in the back of a truck, selling vegetables in the Covington County courthouse parking lot. He learned how to meet people, greet them, and make good on what he was trying to sell. He left there, went to Jones County Junior College, and ended up at the University of Southern Mississippi, where everyone noticed his ability to get things done. Jeff started out in the admissions office and worked there for a number of years, and that's when I saw, boy, he would be great on the Alumni Association staff. So we invited him over and gave him a job, and golly, does it turn into great things. You know, Mississippi is a very poor state, but people from meager beginnings sometimes turn out to be really well. Let me just cite some of these people. Elvis Presley, William Faulkner, Oprah Winfrey, Tennessee Williams, B.B. King, Morgan Freeman, Jim Henson, John Grisham, Jerry Rice, Brett Favre, Jimmy Buffett, and Walter Payton. You know, I think we ought to add one more person to this list because he reached the height of everything in his profession, and that's Jeff Johnson for his alumni relations. I can remember on graduation day, we hosted a lot of families and graduates at the Alumni House. It was the old president's home, very nice furniture and silver punch bowls and those type things. Most of these people had not been in an environment like that. But we hosted a lot of folks, but we didn't measure them by the number of people. We measured them by the number of gallons of punch, peach punch, that we served during each graduation. You know, hospitality has a lot of things, and that is one thing that Jeff helped us do, was bringing faculty and staff together. We used to have Golden Eagle get-togethers in the morning where the alumni staff cooked breakfast for these people, trying to bring people from the custodial staff, administration, secretarial, teaching, all these people would come over and have a breakfast with us. Now, Jeff's main thing was making gravy and biscuits. Boy, he can do it, and I'm telling you that. And then there's the Student Alumni Association. You know, we were sitting in a staff meeting, and Kimberly Jordan, our magazine editor, said, I'd like to have an organization that we could join as students, and after we graduate, we're still members. And that began an organization that grew to 1,800 paid members while we were there at USM. Now, we sent, Jeff was the main driver of all of those efforts, and I would send him around to speak to various things. That was a mistake because I sent him to Kansas, and my friend, Dr. Fred Williams, saw how great he was and hired him away from me. And anyway, he did the right thing, and you see the results. You know, we in the alumni profession have an organization called the Council for Alumni Association Executives. It's the top 100 alumni associations in the nation. And I was luckily one of the founding members of this organization. And he will now, Jeff has been a member of that for a while, but the folks in that organization liked it so much that we said, let's keep something going after we retire. So we then made up an organization called CRAP, the Council for Retired Alumni Professionals. Now, Jeff, on behalf of Bob Foreman and Dr. Fred Williams, I formally induct you into CRAP. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention membership. There's strength in numbers, and Jeff has certainly proved that. You can see by the people here today, he brought that legacy of membership that we had, and we had a pretty good record for sure, although smaller. And he kept that going to over 55,000 paid alumni, and that's absolutely wonderful. So, Jeff, as I leave, I'm proud of you. Godspeed.
Thank you so much, Ron, for making the trip and being with us this weekend. Over 26 years, there were a lot of board members that Jeff had the opportunity to work with. We're pleased to welcome tonight former board member Dr. Ruby Trice.
Good afternoon, Cyclone family. Before I dive into talking about the incomparable Jeff Johnson, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, I am related to Jack Trice, but only in a Cyclone family kind of way. Seriously, I'm not related to Jack Trice, but I've always wanted to say that at an Iowa State event. Man, it feels good. So So I was fortunate enough to be a board director during the time that Jeff designed this illustrious Alumni Center and made it our new home. At each meeting, Jeff would walk us through the details. I mean, every single stinking detail. I thought to myself, well, if this job doesn't work out for him, he can always apply for a job at the Iowa Department of Transportation as a project manager in construction or something. I mean, such a nice guy. He deserves a job somewhere. He's got to feed his family. In fact, I believe that I once saw Jeff, also known by some of us as Bob the Builder Johnson, operating a hydraulic crane. Picture this, if you will. Bob the Builder Johnson, big smile, hydraulic crane, gray uniform, hard hat and all. Oh, I saw you, Bob Johnson. Oh, yeah. But then again, I could just be making this up. Listen, Cyclone family, my point is this. Jeff is a guy who was and is all in for ISU. His passion and love for our beloved institution runs deep. Jeff's primary goal for this center was to make it a home for all Cyclones to feel proud and welcomed. And Jeff, you accomplished it. Job well done. We are all so very proud of you. There are no words to describe the pride that I had as I watched you perform your job effortlessly in public. But behind the scenes as a board director, I was able to see how intentional and driven you were to deliver the best for all of us, to honor the traditions of the university, and above all, to leave no Cyclone behind. You and Peggy will never get rid of me, even after today's remarks. I want you to hear this loud and clear from me, Jeff. Dr. Jeffrey Wayne Johnson, you have lived and are living the wildest dreams of your ancestors, my ancestors, and the ancestors of Cyclones everywhere. God loves you, and so do I. Happy weekend.
Well, Jeff has obviously been the face of the Alumni Association for the last quarter of a century. There's one person that might be able to rival him in terms of familiarity, and that's longtime former staff member Julie Larson.
Thank you, Chad. Wow, this is incredible. Looking out here, I feel like I'm in Dublin at the Cyclone Spirit Rally. There are almost as many of you out there, so welcome. I had the privilege of working with Jeff for 19 years before I retired 7 years ago. I spent the last 2.5 years of my career fundraising for the Alumni Association, and during that time, Jeff and I became best of friends. On one of our fundraising trips, Jeff and I were going to see a donor in the Chicago area. Unfortunately, neither of us noticed that the gas tank was getting rather low. So here we are, rush hour traffic, on a 5-lane interstate, heading into downtown Chicago, and our car sputters and comes to a slow halt. Luckily, there was a shoulder where Jeff could pull over. Still in disbelief that we could let this happen, we called a towing service who sent someone out with a gas can, and we vowed never to tell anyone for fear they would think we'd been irresponsible. Later, we laughed about it and just chalked it up to some great conversation we were having. I met Jeff 30 years ago when we were both advising the Student Alumni Association. Jeff spoke at a national conference, as he often did, and I was there with our students. Less than 10 years later, he became my boss. Our love for students has always been a common bond between us. Jeff's love of students never wavered. He and Peggy hosted the SALC students every year in their home, feeding them, making space for committee meetings, and always being available to connect. And as you know, Jeff loves connecting with everyone. When he meets you, he makes you feel like you've been friends for your entire life. He may not remember your name, but he makes everyone feel very special. One of my favorite memories is when we were residing in Fisher Nickel. Jeff's office was placed in the middle of the building. So to get to Fisher, you had to cut through his office to get to Nickel. So staff and students would do that on a daily basis. Well, most people would not like that at all. But Jeff did. One more opportunity to connect with someone. Jeff is quick to give Jim Hobson the credit for the Alumni Center, but it was his vision that made it a reality. There isn't 1 inch of this beautiful building that wasn't carefully planned. Jeff is proud to take anyone on a tour. Just be sure you have a couple hours to spare. One thing Jeff may not share on his tour is that when we first moved into the building, we were instructed we could only use red and gold push pins. I wasn't kidding that every detail was planned. Jeff did loosen up over the years, and once I even spotted black and gold push pins. But they weren't in my office, Jeff. We also went from no jeans to jeans on Friday for charity, to dress for the day, to no dress code at all. And Jeff went from wearing a suit and tie to sporting ISU sweatpants and a tank top. Just kidding. In fact, Jeff loosened up so much that a few years ago, he grabbed a White Claw seltzer out of Jamie Pollard's refrigerator for a morning meeting. He sipped on the drink throughout the meeting, and on the way back to the building, our board chair said, "You know there's alcohol in that drink, don't you?" Well, Jeff did not. And I'm quite sure Jamie was in awe as well. So whenever Jeff traveled, he carried this huge duffel bag, and more recently a gas can, full of his paperwork that he needed to catch up on. But when he returned, that duffel bag would sit on the couch in his office, still full. This is because Jeff spent his days in meetings and being available for people, always putting others first, so there was never time to get his own work done. It wouldn't be uncommon to come back to the Alumni Center at any hour of the night and see Jeff's light on in his office. He worked long hours, and sometimes we received emails at 3 a.m. I am sure many of you out there did as well. That's also why his real work happened long after the building had closed. Jeff, you have left an amazing legacy. I know we joke about the push pins, but the Alumni Center will always be home for Cyclones, and that's because of you. And Cyclone power will always be heard through the Alumni Center hallways. Congratulations, my friend, and welcome to retirement. It's the best.
Thank you, Julie. Finally, the man of the hour, Dr. Jeff Johnson.
Thank you. You know, I wish my mom and dad were alive. 2016, I lost both of them 19 days apart. But my dad supported me pursuing college. Good afternoon, Cyclones. Your presence with us here today is greatly appreciated. We're going to start with a few giveaways. Oh, sorry. I misspoke. There are no giveaways. I want to say thank you to the ISU Board of Directors and staff members, especially Chad Harris, Chelsea Trowbridge, and Jane Tomesh for coordinating today's retirement open house. Thanks also to our presenters, Chad, President Winterstein, Dr. Ben Allen, Dr. Ruby Trice, Mr. Ron Phillips, and Julie Larson. Please join me in thanking them for their remarks. I owe each of them a big thank you for reading exactly what I wrote for them. On a serious note, thank you for your kind words. I intend to share 4 things with you today, and staff have always been used to me having 3 things to say. Today I'm going to say 4 things. And just so you know what those are, they will deal with my faith, my family, my friends, and my future. First off, my faith. My faith in God has guided me because of the gifts He entrusted me with. First is the gift of hospitality. This gift never allowed me to ever meet a stranger because I knew every encounter I had was with His creation. And as His word says, they are good. So I always saw the good in people and never met a stranger. But He also placed in me the gifts of creativity, no fear, and immense praise. And for those of you who don't know, the Bible has 365 words that says no fear. It says that 365 times, which is equal to every day in every year. So today, because of my obedience to Him, these gifts have provided me and my family with a wonderful life. For this, I give God all the praise. And in case you're interested, He is kicking Parkinson's butt. So today I say to you, I am doing well. Secondly, this Iowa State journey has been about family. So please help me honor the best partner I could ever ask for, my wife, Peggy Johnson. Peggy, please stand. Yes, please stand. Many of you know that in 2012, Peggy suffered a brain aneurysm while we were traveling in California. She spent 36 days in ICU. She's with us today and has been with us ever since. Peggy, I love you. Now, what you may not know is that Peggy has been in my life since she was 12 years old, and I was 14. We dated for 9.5 years, and on August 3rd of this year, we celebrated 40 years of marriage. Nothing in my life would have been possible without her unwavering support. So thank you, babe, for believing in me and allowing your no's to be slow, evolving yeses. From opening up our home for events to raising our kids and supporting me, anything I've accomplished, you've been the anchor. And to my daughter, Crystal, and son, Christopher, please know that Dad saw you, heard you, and appreciates you. Because as 5th and 7th graders at the time, I thank them for choosing to support our move from Illinois to Ames. But I want to be honest with them today. You all were always going to make the move with us. Sorry to have you have the impression that you had something to say in this decision. But no, all joking aside, it truly was a family decision. But do want to say today, thanks for coming with us. Crystal has taught me to forgive myself for working long hours and how to accept thank yous. And because of her, I'm going to be able to get through this weekend accepting your thanks. And to my son, Christopher, who is unable to join us today, he wrote this to me in a text this week. He says, Dad, everything you did and you did and do in the name of Him in all caps, Him and us. That was in the name of God, in the name of your dad and of your family. And so I had to remind him to never send such an email without including Kleenexes. And thank you to my wonderful son-in-law, Cole Martin, who reminds me that he knew me long before I knew him, as he was a student here at Iowa State, and he still chose to marry my daughter, Crystal. I'm still letting that slam sneak in. And meet the future, our grandchildren, Tony and Emmy. Tony, I'm still a bigger kid than you'll ever be, and I'm still better at Uno than you are. And to Emmy, you cannot use my phone today. To all of you, please know that I love you. Peggy and I are happy to have 3 of Peggy's sisters, Paula Flowers, Luby Smith, and Aretha Berry, and a cousin, Michael Weems, all from Mississippi, joining us this week. They are somewhere in the room, if they could just wave their hands. And just so that I am transparent, Michael is a Hawkeye Law alum, but we'll take care of him on Saturday. This journey hasn't just been about my blood family. It's also included my work family. Anything that I accomplished during these 26 years was achieved because I was surrounded by an incredible staff, both current and former. And I want to thank them for being great employees, ambassadors, colleagues, and friends. Family also included great boards of directors and board associates, volunteers, members, general alumni, students, friends, campus and community partners, vendors, donors, higher education and advancement peers, and tons of acquaintances. Together we made magic, music, and memories that have helped to advance Iowa State and Iowa Staters. Third, while this work, and yes, it was work, Peggy and the kids thank the association for paying me. Yeah. Many in the Iowa State family became our friends. No lines were ever crossed, but we knew Iowa State was only the surface level of our relationship as it brought us into knowledge of each other. Experiences at the heart level made us friends. You let me hold your babies, dance at your anniversaries and your children's weddings, give eulogies at your family members' funerals, speak at your kids' high school graduations, represent Iowa State at your local social clubs and events, attend retirement parties and ribbon cuttings, pray with and for you, travel together, be in your homes and cities. In other words, we've been able to do life together, not just advance this wonderful institution. And you've allowed Peggy and me to be real Iowa State fans beyond my professional duties. Okay, I know Peggy got out of hand with some of her Cardinal and Gold outfits, her crazy dance moves at spirit rallies, her screaming at refs, and a bit too loud when cheering or singing Sweet Caroline. And today I apologize for that. But finally, regarding our future, we're excited to be staying in Ames, so sorry you're going to have to continue putting up with Peggy and me. So thank you again for sharing today with us in the past 6 days short of 26 years. We're better people because we're Iowans, but I want to be very clear. We are Cyclone Iowans at heart. And Cyclone Iowans are different. So enjoy the rest of this open house and then get home and get rested so we can do your part in helping the Cyclones beat the Hawks tomorrow. Thank you all, and go State.
Stay here for just a minute. I'm gonna Cyclone power. Okay. We're going to resume the reception line in just a moment. I think Jeff will stay here all night and greet every one of you, so don't worry about that. Tomorrow morning, we invite you to the Step Show 90 minutes before kickoff, where Jeff will be leading the band, so an opportunity to come out and celebrate as well. And then during the first quarter tomorrow, during the game, there will be a special on-field recognition and appreciation for all of Cyclone Nation at Jack Trice Stadium to be able to celebrate Jeff. So I think lastly, though, we need to warm up those vocal cords one more time, so I'm going to ask Jeff to close us out with a Cyclone Power.
Well, you know the rule. Follow the finger. So this is the split of the room. This side is... Cyclone! Power! 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 Can't hear you.